The moment Kemi entered Uncle Dayo's house, she knew her life will never remain the same again. She knew her life was about to take a different turn. She could feel all was not well, and her living condition in Uncle Dayo's house would change her life forever. But does she have choice? Dayo is her only hope, and her journey of endless pain and torture just began. That day, Mr. Shigun and his wife, including their eldest son Femi, were set to attend the naming ceremony of a family friend in Ikorodu, just a few kilometers away from where they lived in Aja. Despite the crying of Kemi, her mother Biodun told her to stay behind and help her sell her goods in the store. Kemi had begged her parents not to go for the naming ceremony, but was quickly dismissed, and her parents believed it was because they asked her to stay back home. But that was far from it. Kemi had a natural gift of seeing what is about to happen few hours before they eventually occurred. But her parents, especially her mother, never believed her. Kemi knew her parents and her elder brother were going to die, but he couldn't stop them because no one believed in her. She couldn't stop crying when her father eventually drove outside and they left. Inside the shop, she cried for God to change what she has seen, but it was too late for her fate to change. Few minutes into the drive, the incoming truck lost control and overran Mr. Shigun's car, killing all the family members instantly. No one survived. The 3 family members were gone, leaving only Kemi to face the tough reality of life. As they brought their corpses back to the house, Kemi cried her eyes out, calling them to wake up. Daddy, Mummy, Femi, you all promised to take care of me. Where will I continue from? Mummy, please wake up. I am only 15 years old. Please take me along with you, Mummy. Daddy, remember your promise to sponsor me to College of Medicine. Who will do that now? Please wake up. Uncle Dayo and few family members and friends were around for the burial arrangements. They couldn't control their tears as Kemi cried. They couldn't believe Shigun and his wife and their eldest son died in one day. But how will Kemi continue? They all asked while crying. After the burial and the 3 days' prayers at their home in Aja, Kemi will be following Uncle Dayo to live with him in Abuja. That's the only option left. Only her cannot stay in their house in Lagos. She needs a father figure in her life as a teenager. And Dayo, the only uncle he has, will be playing that role. Their journey was later delayed for 2 days. Dayo told Kemi he would need to sell her family properties, open a bank account, and save it in her name and have access to it when she turns 18. Because she's naive and still young, Kemi never knew the amount her father's house and car, including her mother's provision store, were sold. She never followed Uncle Dayo to the bank and was only told the money has been deposited in an account opened in her name. She couldn't question him but only believed her uncle cannot cheat her. The night to the journey, the reality was dawn on Kemi. God, what did I do that you decided to take my parents and my brother away from me? Please take my life so I can be with them in peace. She became more afraid when she realized that Uncle Dayo, despite being rich, is still single at 45 and was once arrested for raping a neighbor's child, where he lives, and took the intervention of her late father before he was released. In the morning, as she carried her bag and entered Dayo's car, she could only muster a silent prayer. Father, Mother, I've always liked to be with you, but I don't know why you decide to abandon me. Please look over me. Let your spirits guide and protect me. Don't allow me to suffer, she said with tears. Kemi, you need to stop crying. Remember, I am your uncle, you are my daughter. Just know you are going to live with your uncle, and I promise to be a father to you. May God punish me if I ever do anything bad to you, so please be my daughter, and I will give you all what my brother would have given you. Dayo was full of tears as he assured Kemi of her safety with him. Inside the car, Kemi was skeptical. If he was this good, why would he rape an innocent girl of 12 years? Was he accused wrongly? She questioned and quickly shifted her mind from there in order not to bother herself. When Kemi entered Uncle Dayo's house, she knew her life would never remain the same again. She could see her future burning before her eyes. She knew her life was about to take a different turn. But does she have a choice? Dayo is her only hope. This is my room. Keep your bag here. You will be staying with me in the same room. You know you are my daughter. I need to look over you. Uncle, is this your own house? Kemi asked. Yes, I built it. It's all mine, he said. Kemi thought carefully and said, since there are other rooms, it's better I stay in my own room, sir. It's still the same house. You can always check on me. It's a nice idea too. Follow me. Let me show you your room then, Uncle Dio said. At night, inside her room, Kemi became more afraid of her uncle. She imagined his plans towards her that made him say she should be staying in his room. She thought of running away as soon as possible, but she had nowhere to run to. Neither does she know anyone in Abuja aside her uncle. She could only pray and call on her parents' spirits to look over her from heaven. As promised, Uncle Dio registered Kemi in one of the schools in his neighborhood to write her senior secondary school examination and prepare for university. Kemi became free with him and faulted herself for having a wrong notion of her God-fearing uncle. Dio checked on Kemi every night to make sure she's okay and told her to inform him if there's anything she needs. Because of this, Kemi doesn't lock her door at night because she knows her uncle could come in at any time to check on her. That night, Kemi was fast asleep when Dio went inside Kemi's room. He became lost in her beauty and decided to let his inner devil control him. Kemi was woken up by Dio's hands caressing her back. I know you are tired after today's school activities. I just want to massage your back. No, sir. I don't need it. I am okay, please stop. Kemi's pleas fell on deaf ears. Dio pinned her down from her back, pulled up her shirt, and had his way. Uncle, please stop. It's hurting me. It's paining me. Please stop. This is not massage. It's penetrating me. I am dying. Please stop. Remember you are my uncle. Remember you promised to take care of me. Please stop. It's because I am your uncle, that's why I am doing this. This is a massage. You are now a big girl, he said as he continued to pounce on her. Each thrust came with a sharp pain. Kemi thought she was dying. She could no longer cry, and she simply prayed for death to come so she can join her parents and brother in the heaven. Dio only came down from her when Kemi couldn't move her body anymore. He took cold water from the fridge and sprinkled it on Kemi's face, and she quickly opened her eyes. Kemi, I am proud of you. You are still a virgin. I know you enjoyed this first experience of body inner massage. I promise to give you whatever you want. I will allow you to heal before we continue. But I must not hear this from your mouth. Any day I hear it, I will kill you that day. Go inside the bathroom and wash yourself, Dio instructed her. He pointed a gun at her face and left the room, leaving Kemi in a bad state with blood. What Kemi does not know is that Dio is a serial rapist, a predator without mercy or limit. Kemi cried throughout the night. She woke up the following morning with swollen face and couldn't go to school. When Dio entered her room, he continued to downplay the gravity of what he has done. I don't want to see you crying before people will think I am not being kind to you. Dress up, let's go for shopping. He dragged Kemi out and went to a shopping mall. There he told her to pick whatever she wants. Kemi was still in pain and was too drawn in the pain to even pick anything from the mall. Dio did the shopping, picked different clothes for her and few underwear. When they returned home, Dio forced Kemi to strip before him in the living room and wear the new underwear he bought for her. As if that was not enough, he forced her to cook in the kitchen with the underwear while he constantly kissed her and touched her inappropriately in the kitchen. Every night, Dio will have his way and repeatedly slept with Kemi, even when she's in pain and on her monthly circle. There was no limit or break to the molestation. One night, Kemi refused to cry as usual. She just lay there as Dio forcefully had his way. Every thrust came with pain and cruelty. But Kemi refused to cry. She concluded she would no longer plead for her life and safety. She will take her life back with the force it was taken. She was ready to become the demon to fight for her existence. When Dio was done, he stood up and left and bid Kemi good night. Kemi stood up with rage. She was ready to fight back to free herself, but she needed something to use. She looked around and found Dio's gun on the floor. He forgot to carry his gun, and this became the best weapon Kemi needed to fight back. She stood and knocked on Dayo's door with burning rage. When Dayo opened the door, he saw Kemi holding his gun. "Go back and sit on the floor, else I will burst your head," Kemi said. Dayo began to plead for his life as he sat on the floor. "This is not the time for begging. Since you decided to be a demon despite my father sponsoring your education when he was alive, then it's time to pay you back for what you have done to me." As Kemi struggled to pull the trigger, Dayo jumped up and hit her hand and landed a slap on her face after collecting the gun. Kemi was taken by surprise. "You think you are smart. You can't outsmart me. I've been patient with you enough." Dayo tied Kemi to his bed and repeatedly molested her that night. Kemi remained on the conditions and would only untie her to use the toilet and bathroom. Unlike before, Dayo no longer cares. He now takes hard drugs before sleeping with her. Kemi struggled to hold on, but she was losing her mind every day. Kemi is now 18 years old, but whenever she asked of the access to her parents' properties he sold, it's either beaten or an opportunity to forcefully sleep with her and further molest her. One morning when Dayo left for work and locked her inside, Kemi remembered Dayo made a vow the day he came to pick her in Lagos. Dayo had asked God to destroy him if he ever do anything bad to Kemi. Kemi quickly struggled to untie herself, knelt on the floor and raised her hands before God. "God, I know you are not dead. Come to my rescue. Uncle Dayo asked you to destroy him if he ever do anything bad to me. He had taken my joy, molested and dehumanized me. Please answer his prayer, destroy him, and make him pay for his evil against me." That evening, Dayo closed from work. The cloud was dark, and the rain had already started, but he quickly ran into his car. He enjoyed molesting Kemi when it's raining. He was ready to rush home as usual and start his evil work. As he tried to start his car, there was a loud thunder that shook even the building of his company. His colleagues rushed out to find what had happened. They were all shocked by what they saw. Dayo was thrown out of his car by the thunder strike, lying motionless on the ground. It has never been heard. Dayo is the first person to be struck by thunder in this manner inside a car. He was rushed to a nearby clinic and remained in coma for 1 week. When Kemi was informed, she went down on her knees, thanking God for answering her prayer. "Uncle Dayo, you will never know peace. It's going to be from one problem to another. As you prayed the day you picked me from Lagos, you will continue to be destroyed, and so shall it be." By the time Dayo woke up, she could hardly recognize anybody, not even Kemi, whom he had continuously molested. He continued to receive treatment in the hospital. 1 month after, he was able to recognize people and struggled to talk. One morning he called for Kemi. Upon her arrival at the hospital, he begged for her forgiveness. "Kemi, I know I have wronged you. Please find it in your heart to forgive me. Forgive me for the sake of God. Don't let me die carrying this burden of guilt with me. Please forgive me. I don't know what came over me. It wasn't me. It was the work of the devil," Dayo said with tears in his eyes on the hospital bed. To demonstrate his apology, he ordered his lawyer to make a withdrawal of 80 million naira of the Kemi father's properties he sold and denied her access to it. Dayo confessed that he never opened any account for Kemi and didn't know how he forgot Kemi was his niece. Kemi stood there at the hospital watching Uncle Dayo confessed his sins. The images of how he had continuously raped, beaten and dehumanized her continued to play in her head. After a few minutes of not talking, Kemi finally put herself together and said, "You don't deserve to be alive, sir. You are a demon among men. This is the beginning of your ordeal. God will reward what you did to me. You destroyed me. God will reward you for that. If you are healthy, you will continue with your evil. It needs to stop. For that I can't forgive you. You will get what you deserve." She left the hospital crying. Dayo's lawyer ran after her, pleading with her to wait. She only collected his office card and left. The following day, Kemi met Barrister Kunal, Dayo's lawyer, and started the process of retrieving her parents' assets. She was able to recover her parents' asset and return back to Lagos to enroll in school in order to write her senior high school examination and prepare for university. Meanwhile, Dayo's health keeps deteriorating. Some of his colleagues in the office were coming before, but soon everyone stopped caring. He had no one to look after him, but this is just one of his challenges. The main problem he was having is that he does not have inner peace. There seemed to be a voice in his head. It kept shouting at him, telling him to confess all he had done to Kemi. Dio did not want to confess, because he can't even stand the truth himself. He now fully understood how cruel he is, but because the voice won't stop. One day Mr. Dio had a visitor and told him to invite the doctor. "I have something to say," Dio said. The nurse that was standing close to his bed quickly came around too. Because the nurse is a social media enthusiast, she started recording. Dio began to confess all he had done to Kemi. The things he was saying were really horrible, and the doctor and others that had come around wanted to think it was not possible for someone to be that cruel, but they knew that no one would lie against themselves in such a manner. They all looked at him with disdain. Dio wanted to be free from the voice in his head, hence the reason he confessed. The nurse who recorded him posted him on social media, and the video quickly went viral. Even after Dio had recovered, he lived in shame. NGOs began hosting broadcasts, asking whoever it was that Dio had messed with to report the case so he could be charged in court. But Kemi was in school now. She does not want to be involved with Dio at all, so she refused to come out. However, because the case was such a strong one that had gained people's attention, people were asking the government to come in and punish Dio so other pedophiles would learn. The government intervened. They traced Kemi, and eventually she affirmed that she had suffered in the hands of Dio. She told the government agents that she would prefer to remain anonymous, as attention may lead to distraction for her. They obliged. They protected Kemi from the media and saw to the end of the case. Dio was eventually arrested and charged in court. At the court, he saw Kemi and charged at her. "I regret that I tried to be good along the line. Why can't you let go? Now I am going to jail when I'm sure you were also enjoying it. Foolish girl, I regret giving you money." Prior to now, Kemi had thought that there was a possibility that Dio had changed, but his actions now showed her he had not. The police quickly restrained Dio. He was sentenced to 30 years imprisonment. Kemi had to register for therapy. Her healing process was slow, but she was determined to not let what happened break her. Kemi turned all the bad in her life into strength and poured it into her academics. She graduated as the best robotics engineering student from University of Lagos and the best graduating student in her faculty. Because of her experience with Uncle Dio, Kemi finds it difficult to trust men and she focused on her career. She partnered with Lagos State government and opened the first robotics center in Nigeria in Lagos State. With this initiative, she trained young talents and the center quickly became of Africa's most famous artificial intelligence and robotics center. The center designed robots that help to accomplish what many people see as tedious tasks and unachievable by humans, simplified learning through the use of artificial intelligence, and helped to design robots that helped company owners achieve many tasks. Despite her achievements at a young age of 25 years, Kemi refused to get married. She turned down many proposals from key players of Nigerian industries and even famous politicians. Anytime her close friend, Bumi, brought the issue and tried to persuade her to give love a chance, Kemi's usual reply is that she is not ready to be under a man. It would bring back her childhood memories. One evening, Kemi had called Bumi to meet her at their usual hangout spot in Lekki's most expensive 5-star bar. Few minutes into their conversation, Kemi said, "Bumi, you have been like a sister to me. I really need your sincere advice. David has been asking me out. He's one of our smartest robotics engineers. I have known him for a long time. He's calm and gentle. Few days ago, he sent me a text confessing his love to me. He said he didn't know how I would take it. That's why he decided to send me a text. But the truth is that I had already developed feelings for him even before his message. You know, the gap that exists between us is something to also consider. I am the CEO of the company. How would it sound that I am getting married to one of my staff? I am confused about this, but I love David. I found peace in his eyes for the very first time." Bumi listened carefully as Kemi talked. and she said, "My dear friend, you are a warrior and a champion. You deserve more than the world celebrates you. I am happy you have finally realized you need a man in your life and get married. What matters in marriage is love and peace of mind. I am happy it's David that come your way. I have known him for 15 years. After you, David is our finest robotics engineer in Nigeria. Please give him a chance and build a family with him. I am assuring you, you wouldn't regret this bold step you are about to take." Kemi was convinced by her friend. She invited David to the best eatery in Lekki the following day for their first date. There, Kemi had no time to play the lover-girl game. She confessed to David how she had been watching him and had developed feelings for him even before his message. But Kemi needs one assurance for the relationship to work and leads to marriage. She wants to be assured David will never shout at her or hit her for any reason. David assured her of her safety, love and protection. The following day, David called Bumi and told her of his intention to propose to her friend. Bumi encouraged him to go ahead and helped in having the best place for it. That day, David called Kemi to meet him at African Luxury Hotel with her friend Bumi for hangout in the evening. Bumi was at Kemi's place early enough. She encouraged her to dress in her best clothes because she already knew what was about to happen. When they got to the hotel, Kemi couldn't believe her eyes. David knelt down and proposed to Kemi, asking her to be his wife and partner for the rest of his life. Kemi had waited for this day. She knelt with David, kissed him and stretched her hand for the ring. On their way home, they talked about their wedding, the number of children they want to have, and laughed while Bumi constantly interjects and reminded them she's still single and asked them to be kind to her. But the unfortunate thing happened. David was not paying much attention as he drives. The honking of the incoming vehicle brought them to reality, and he tried to match the car brake, but it was too late. They ran into an incoming vehicle after wrongly overtaking a vehicle without properly looking at the road. Their car somersaulted and landed into a ditch. The rescue workers quickly swung into action and their car was rescued from the ditch. In the hospital, Kemi, David and Bumi lied motionless in a pool of blood. Neither of them could talk. Kemi was quickly recognized as the CEO of the first robotics engineering company in Nigeria. After making arrangement with her company and given them the immediate treatment in Nigeria, they were taken to United States for treatment. The doctors that attended to them in Nigeria had disclosed that they suffered severe head injury which might affect their sight and brain, and they don't have advanced medical facilities to handle the case. After 2 months in United States, Kemi, David and Bumi recovered fully and returned to Nigeria. Kemi and David started preparing for their wedding and eventually got married 1 month after their return from United States. Their wedding was one of the most anticipated in Nigeria and became so popular as the most expensive wedding of the year, graced by industrial players from around the world and influential politicians from many African countries. At the prison where Dio was kept, he was constantly abused by fellow inmates. He lost it all and became a shadow of his former self. One night, Dio took a dagger he had smuggled inside his cell. He stabbed himself repeatedly and ended his life. Kemi didn't feel pity for his uncle and only surviving family member. She only thanked God for her life and told everyone that Uncle Dio deserves such a death for what he did to her. If you like this story, comment, like, share and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.